Ever wondered what it truly takes to succeed in specific jobs around Signature? Well, you're about to find out. From software engineering to talent acquisition, we're here to spotlight real-life paths to success. Welcome to On the Job With, your window into career pathing and discovering what it takes to excel in roles all around our organization. Your host and Signature Edge producer Addison is diving deep into the heart of career exploration and hearing personal experiences from people's journeys to career excellence. You can only know what's possible when you hear what the job really is directly from those getting it done. So, if you're ready to focus on career pathing and discover the steps that led our guests to where they are now, buckle up and tune in to On the Job With.
Hello, Signature, and hello, listeners. This is Addison Stoddard, and I am excited to be back with another episode of On the Job With. I have the privilege today to talk to Lauren Johnson. She's been here a little over a decade. She actually just celebrated her 10th anniversary with Signature, and she is a VA claims processing quality assurance manager. Lauren, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing really well myself. Excited to get spring started. We're recording here at the beginning of March, and I'm ready for this cold weather to be over. Lauren was just telling me before the call, she's up in the north, so she's getting a little colder than I am, I'm sure, but we're excited to get spring started. So, Lauren, I thought it'd be really cool to have a QA manager, quality assurance manager on the edge, and to talk a little bit more about how the work you do directly impacts the quality of service we're able to offer to our clients. Just to start off, for anybody who might not be aware of quality assurance, how do you explain your role to somebody that would be unfamiliar with that?
So Signature Performance has clients in the medical fields. One of our clients being Veterans Affairs. We process their medical claims whenever the veterans are seen outside of the VA hospitals. And we also have call centers in place for billing questions, as well as notifying the VA when veterans have been seen in an emergency room. That is our CAEC correspondence department. So I have 4 programs that we do quality assurance for. So basically, we're reviewing the work done by these teams in the company to verify that the work is done correctly. This is called an audit. My team does roughly around 22,400 audits per month between all 4 programs.
That is a lot of audits. Follow-up question, how many total people would be on your team?
I have 14 people on my team.
Okay, 22,000 audits among 14 associates. That is a lot of work that you guys accomplished. That is awesome.
So in those 4 programs, we review a portion of the work and then report our findings to the teams and their managers. This shows those teams where they are doing very well and where they may need a better understanding. My role within the audit team is their manager. I look over the workload, make sure that we have the right amount of staff in each program, and I also am there to support my team in any way they need, which could be answering questions on audits, reviewing disputes with the auditors, things like that. So a dispute is when the associate may not agree with the audit and the score down that they received, and they're able to send the dispute back to managers for review. And if the managers approve that, then they send it to the auditors for review. So I'm there to support in that way as well.
You mentioned that you were working within 4 programs. Could you just sort of quickly maybe define or list out what those 4 programs were, just for people that are unfamiliar with our VA claims processing work?
Sure. So we have the ECAMS program, which is the medical claims for our veterans. We have the CHAMP VA processing program, which is the veterans' spouses and dependents, their medical claims. We also have the correspondence work. So these are the portals or the inbound emails that get sent in from veterans, veteran representatives, or providers to notify the VA that the veteran has been seen at an emergency room outside of the VA, so at a community care hospital. So we have a whole program dedicated to that, and the veteran representatives, and providers are able to either call in, they can fill out a portal online, or they can send in an email. And so my specific program does the portals and the email work. We also have a fourth program that is with the EOHI program, where that is more for Tri-West and TRICARE, and we are reviewing the medical information of the associates and making sure that their insurance is set up correctly.
That is a lot of different work that Signature tackles. And I know that we have sort of experts sort of running through all those little sub-departments. I just wanted to take a little second and define for the audience as well. EOHI is more than just a fun thing to say. It is electronic other health insurance, correct? And that would be third-party insurance or maybe insurance beyond VA benefits that we can follow up for helping cover care as well. You've been doing this for a while, 10 years, been alongside me for almost a decade, for over a decade as well. In your role, how have you found success?
I define success in my role by the success of my team. I am first and foremost there to support them in any way that they need and to make sure that they're successful. When they're successful, I'm successful. So success would be a better understanding of our desk procedures, the auditor best explaining the error to the associate, where the associate also has a better understanding and shows they are no longer making the error, and getting through the workload with little to no overturned disputes. Success is also making sure that my team maintains a good work-life balance and does not get burnt out by their work.
So when you began, you were in our claims processing department, but I know you sort of quickly within a year or two moved into the QA work that you're still doing and still moving through to this day. Do you think you found a good fit in the role?
I do find this job to be a very good fit for me. The quality is extremely important to me. Without the quality, we do not have the accuracy of the work, and then we could potentially be incorrectly paying claims or not paying them at all, which could potentially lead providers to not work with the veterans and the VA in the future. So it is very important to me to make sure that our veterans are seen and cared for. I have veterans in my family. My husband is currently active duty and will be a veteran here soon. And so I would want him to be taken care of the best way possible, just like all of the rest of our veterans. So within my work, I make sure that each team maintains that accuracy above the standards that the VA has set forth for Signature. We're ultimately doing this work for our veterans. So if it's not getting done accurately, it causes ripple effects for the veterans accidentally getting billed when they shouldn't, or having to call into the call center because their claims were denied completely. We also want to make sure that the providers are getting paid when appropriately so they continue to see our veterans.
You and I both have heard numerous stories about how our Signature's commitment to quality of the work that we're doing has benefited veterans and has made their ability to receive care easier and just smoother than maybe it was previous to the work that Signature was doing. I loved how you stressed the word quality in your previous answer. Obviously, QA, quality assurance, quality is in your title. How do you connect ranking quality so high in your work to how you make an impact within the organization and with the people you work directly with?
Absolutely. Quality is extremely important to me. Without it, you increase your workload by having to correct errors down the road. There's a trickle effect that eventually the providers and the veterans could potentially see. When more errors occur, it increases the call volume of our call centers, with providers asking for corrections, which in turn increases the number of call center representatives needed to handle a higher call volume. By making sure that my team is giving out accurate information that is clear and understandable, this should help with lowering the amount of errors made on our work.
I think that is so mission critical. Actually, to be honest, a lot of this conversation reminds me of the conversation I had previous on the job with Dee Vesta, one of our medical coders. And just that, again, that commitment to quality, the commitment to making sure that everything is accurate as possible, I think really is the secret sauce in a lot of what Signature does for our clients. So I think that is a very worthy answer. So as we were talking about in like the pre-interview, you joined the processing team, then joined the QA team about a year and a half, 2 years into your role here. For about 5 years, have been the claims processing QA manager. Throughout each stage of the role, has your understanding or definition of success changed?
Yes, absolutely. So when I first started out on the VA processing team, I was only in charge of my own work. I was making sure that it was accurate so claims could be paid timely and correctly. As I moved into the auditor role, I had a bigger impact by reviewing other associates' work as well on the team to hold them to the high standards set forth by leadership. Once I became the auditing manager over the processing work, I had an even bigger impact on reviewing and assisting the rest of the auditing team so that we're all on the same page with quality. We have implemented ways to verify that the auditing team is auditing the work correctly and scoring the same way as each other. I hold monthly calibration meetings with each auditing program where the team each reviews the same audit separately and then scores it independently before we come back together and review as a group and discuss if there are any other ways that the work can be scored and make a determination if there are any gray areas that come up. We also have an audit the auditor program where the senior auditors and I review a percentage of the other auditors' work to make sure there's a good understanding of the desk procedures.
Auditing the auditors is such a cool concept. I love the fact that we're sort of double checking the work. So I would imagine with your position and with the QA team in general, that there's probably a lot going on with, like, I don't know if I want to say automation per se, but like, how does that play into how you see the future of QA evolving? And are there steps that Signature or you or your team are taking to, stay out ahead of those?
So the VA is ever evolving with their guidance, and we have to be ready to update and evolve as the guidance changes. This can happen quite frequently. So some guidance can be small enough to only need desk procedure updates, and others may require training, desk procedure updates, and additional planning. So we put that all into our workload and make sure that everything is laid out to the best of our abilities so that the associates have the most up-to-date guidance so that we can stay on top of the VA's requirements.
How are we encouraging and helping the QA team stay on top of some of these changing guidelines or procedures as they come in from our clients?
Each day, the auditors come in and review the desk procedures at the beginning of their shift to make sure that they're understanding any new guidance. But we also have weekly meetings called huddles where I go over every single update that happened from the previous week to make sure everybody is on the same page and that everybody has an understanding of what the new desk procedures are.
So previous to your roles at Signature, um, what was your, in what way was your career or work life helpful in shaping your approach to work and your work ethic?
So every job I have had has shaped my work ethic and how I approach work. I'm the type of person to get overwhelmed with a larger workload, so I create lists and tasks and deadlines so the workload is more manageable. Once I graduated with a business degree, I wanted to find a career where I would be able to use my degree. I found a job working with a medical insurance company, and they were able to train me on how medical claims work and how to read them. I gained so much knowledge from that job, both good and bad. I knew that I eventually wanted to move into management, but that job showed me what I should and shouldn't be as a manager. I eventually left to stay at home as my son was 5 months at the time and had some medical issues that brought him in and out of the hospital. Thankfully, we were able to get him diagnosed and on a great routine within 6 months, and I was back to work. At that time, I found a job listing for Signature Performance, and I have never regretted that decision. Signature has helped me grow as a person and as a leader.
I love that when you were ready to return to the workforce, you sort of talk about that job posting for Signature. I think I could almost do like a mini podcast. Just I sort of want to go around for a few of us that have been here for a while and be like, how did you discover Signature? Just the sort of the micro look at when did Signature Performance cross your field of view, whether it was in a job posting or online or word of mouth. Like I think that how did you find Signatures is such a cool thing. So, and I'm glad you found Signature. So we sort of addressed earlier with that audit the auditors. You do have a lot of collaboration and sort of crosswork within your team. Is there anything else you wanted to tell us about how you approach this collaboration, what you find rewarding about working with others?
Sure. So within my team, I encourage collaborating and bouncing ideas off of each other. We have a great team that works very well together. Since the team is all remotely working from home, like I said before, we meet weekly on Mondays as a kind of huddle on camera to catch up and discuss anything new for the upcoming week. We also, like I said before, discuss desk procedure updates and make sure that everybody's on the same page. We also have a group chat that we are all active in, both with questions and answers, as well as funny stories and jokes to make the day go by quickly. Outside of my team, I work with operations managers to help bridge the gap between operations and QA. I try to always be available for questions and problem solving, as well as any meetings that need to be attended.
Yeah, I know we've definitely talked about some of that cross collaboration and crosstalk that you guys do with operations, because your work is so important to make sure that the quality of operations stays top tier, which is something we really like to communicate to clients. Can't beat our quality across quite a few different metrics. Sometimes challenges do arise. Did you feel comfortable maybe sharing a recent problem or challenge you were tasked with, and describe how you and your team tackled it?
Yes, so there are plenty of challenges that come within a QA department, especially when you are over 4 programs. One of our programs had a recent expansion and another insurance group was acquired. So this has increased the number of associates working on the program and the operations team, and has in turn increased the number of audits that are needed. So this program only had one auditor at the time. So by reviewing workloads in other programs, I was able to free up another auditor from one of our other programs part-time and cross-train her to assist with the growing workload. We also published desk procedures, and associates were trained on this new insurance group and the policies.
And for anybody that is unfamiliar, that is very complicated work. I mean, we really are creating experts in these sort of the minutia of these contracts and desk procedures. How would you quantify our desk procedures? How would you break that down?
There's so many desk procedures. I am not sure the actual number of them, but we have desk procedures for 4 different programs on my end. And then the call center has all of their desk procedures for 3 programs in the call center. So we have a bunch of them, and they are all kept up to date between myself and the training managers for each of the programs. So it is quite a lot of work, but it definitely is extremely important because that's where all of our guidance comes from, and that's where the auditors base their audits on. We do not audit anything without having concrete guidance within our desk procedures to fall back on to explain why we're doing what we're doing.
I had to ask that because I did really want to stress something unique about your position and your work with the training managers you mentioned is there is libraries, books, tomes, entire binders full of these desk procedures. So just to really iterate how complicated or how thorough some of these things are, I think is really important for our audience to know, our listeners to know, because your team has to be familiar with those to make sure that our associates are doing the best work they possibly can. So thank you for helping me quantify that a little bit. Hopefully that made a bit more sense to people.
To add to that, we also have desk procedures that are archived because some of our programs are audited about a week, maybe even 2 weeks behind if we do get a little bit behind in our workload. With that being said, we want to make sure that we are auditing based on the guidance that the associate had at the time of the audit. So we use these archives quite frequently to audit based on what the desk procedures said at the time to make sure that we're following the guidance that the associates had to make it more fair for them.
Complete new dimension I wasn't even thinking of. Like, if you processed a claim in the past, we have to audit it in the past. That does make total sense when you say it, but I mean, it really just doubles, triples the amount of stuff we have to either keep or be familiar with to, as I mentioned, make sure we're providing quality results at the highest quality we can. A lot of the work we do here obviously affects veterans outside of Signature. Can you maybe expand a little bit on how you connect your role and how you're positively affecting the world outside of our organization?
Of course. So, like I said, our work directly affects our veterans. This affects the care that they receive when they're seen at community care hospitals and clinics. So, by completing the work timely and accurately, this in turn pays the providers timely and they can see more veterans. Coming from a family of veterans, as I stated before, making sure that our veterans get the care that they need and deserve is one of my top priorities. Being in the quality assurance department gives me a unique opportunity to be on the front lines and making sure that our quality is there for both the veterans and the providers.
Your personal connection to what we do at Signature, I think, is really, really powerful and explaining the care and the drive that our associates put into the work every day. Lauren, I want to thank you so much for joining us on the job with. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I greatly appreciate it.
Of course, Lauren, you are an easy pick. And for those who are curious to learn a bit more about the Quality Assurance Department, I encourage you to check out our previous Signature Live Department Spotlight with Quality Assurance Director Ginny Lockard. You can check that out by checking out our Signature Live playlist on our YouTube channel. And that episode aired on December 13th, 2023. So that would be a great companion piece in addition to this conversation I had with Lauren. That being said, thank you so much, listeners, and we will see you again on the job with.